Well, welcome back. Today, I'm really excited to have a good friend who I've had on the IG live show a few times, Farah from ALT Interiors, a great staging company. And we're going to talk about everything relating to the staging market in this current environment. Mm-hmm. So, Farah, a lot of listings coming on. Market's a little bit wobbly for some. How are you dealing with the onslaught of listings on the marketplace?
As any entrepreneur would, like, there's this thing I keep saying in my head, it's just keep swimming. Like, I think it's such a blessing to be so busy as a entrepreneur. So it's wonderful to see so much activity and to see everyone busy. I feel like everyone is busy right now. Do you find that?
And that's good.
Yeah.
How is the market embracing having to stand out when there's more listings out there trying to vie for that attention? The staging world does make things pop, makes it more attractive. So that bodes well for you and your clients. What are you seeing in that marketplace?
It's not hard. Like, in order to sell real estate, you have to price it competitively and you have to stage it correctly. That's the magic formula.
So what's the goal? What's the goal when you look at a project and you go see a site?
Yeah.
And are there times where you say, okay, I can make this work? Are there times where you're saying, this is impossible?
No, I always can do something to help the property. I've never seen a property that I didn't think could use staging.
Have you ever declined the job?
Yes.
On what basis?
Peace of mind.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, it's just a fact of life. You know, you're going to get along with some people and some people might not, be that person for you that you think that you can jive with easily. And I just think life is too short. So I look at my work as I enjoy working. So if you're going to make it unenjoyable for me to work with you, then irregardless of how much money you're paying me, I don't think it's worth it.
Well, one time you used to have videos of some of your episodes of projects, and I always found it intriguing how you always have backup pieces in case things break, in case things don't fit, down a staircase, up a staircase, or whatever.
We try our best.
You always have a backup plan.
We try our best.
Right? And how is that working out as far as the current marketplace? Are you having to stage longer because houses are sitting longer? I remember back in the day, the last time we chatted, things were moving fast. You're probably staging for a week or two max.
Really?
Have things been extended because things are sitting a little bit longer?
There's no rhyme or reason. There's some properties that are selling within a few days. We did this home in Etobicoke, right in the Trinity Bellwoods area of Toronto, which is a highly sought after area. $3.9 million. That's $4 million sold in 3 days.
So that's good.
That's
priced right, though.
Wonderful, wonderful example. And then there's some condominiums, for example, that are valued at $700,000, maybe $900,000 in Toronto with a beautiful view of the lake that are just sitting.
Yeah.
I don't understand the economics why, but we do about 65 stages per month. So we are noticing that there isn't a rhyme or reason why things are moving or not. I really couldn't give you an explanation.
That's interesting because the condo market has been taking a bit of a hit on the head because there's a lot of them.
Right.
Is it tough to stage a one bedroom or
you're trying to focus? All of them.
It's
tough to stage everything. One bedroom condo, you got to deal with the logistics of the loading area, the elevator. If the security guard had, a good day, like that has its own slew of issues. Sometimes in the winter we'll do a home and the homeowner has left 4 inches of ice on their driveway and didn't think to, salt the night before. Also,
you're a problem solver.
That's what we are. We're that as designers and that's exactly what you are. And I think that's what we all are. We're problem solvers, I think.
And at some point, it's not just staging as well, right? Like you're doing painting,
We're suggesting painting, yes.
Suggest painting, and that would be the homeowner's responsibility.
Yes.
How much time do you need to
prepare for a stage?
Yeah, to get ready for a stage.
Depending on the scope of work, usually payment and then 2 days of preparation. So payment confirmation, and then within payment, 2 to 5 business days.
And that homeowner is expected to declutter.
Yeah.
And what else are they supposed to?
In some cases.
Do they got to move their own furniture out, or do you deal with?
We don't do that, but we recommend trades that can completely handle that for them. So I always find a realtor is a person with a great amount of network and team. So if they were presented a property that required that service, boom, they have a moving person in place. You know, obviously they would show the homeowner, I'm investing, moving, staging, and it's costing me around 20 grand. And if it sells, I'll be lucky if we even walk away with 5. You know, like if you are an economical person and you lay out the numbers to the homeowner, that might incentivize them to go with you, but it might even incentivize them to pay for half of the investment. And what if the homeowner decides not to sell? Then what?
They get to keep the furniture?
I wish. If they decided to sell and the realtor paid for everything up front, now realtors are becoming a little bit more savvy. They're including clauses within, hopefully, their contracts. I would suggest if the homeowner was to terminate the contract before it expired, that they would be responsible for the full marketing expense. And I don't think that's an unfair ask from the seller. I think.
You ever get caught in the middle?
What do you mean?
Where something like that does happen, and then it's a struggle as to who's going to pay you for your services?
Oh, no. I always get paid up front.
Okay.
It's what I'm saying is whether the realtor
reimburses
the client and vice versa. Yeah.
So I'm going to shift gears a little bit. The work from home issue has become more and more prevalent in society. Mm-hmm. Are you starting to stage homes with a office, with a work from home environment that can showcase that versatility in the home? Like, are you converting a bedroom into an office? Like, is that something that you're looking at doing?
I think in a list of priorities, showcase as many bedrooms as you can, but we always try to include an office somewhere. And there is usually a place to put an office. But I wouldn't recommend removing a bedroom for an office. But what we are seeing is a lot more usages of the home. So if I can create a purpose for the basement, I would create a gym. I would create a yoga room. We recently did that for a stage. And it really is what people are it's really going to seal the deal when you have that experience throughout the house.
Well, it always sounds like you got to prep your kitchen, your family room, and the bedroom. Everything. Now you're going into offices, basements, anything else? Outdoor? Do you do outdoor?
We don't. I put a stop to that this year. It's just a lot of waste, because anything outdoor that is exposed to the elements, it gets discolored, it gets damaged. And it's
more clunkier usually.
It's heavier. Very hard to store. So now we just offer virtual staging for the outside.
Okay, so you also do that?
Yeah, we do virtual staging as well as retail, and we have an artwork collection, which you're coming to the launch.
Well, you do sales, end of season sales too, with some of your stuff
with some of the inventory.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about virtual staging, how much has that changed your business as we become more comfortable with virtual showcasing of properties, floor plans and stuff like that? Is that becoming a bigger part of your business?
Well, I think naturally as we're growing, we're seeing more requests for virtual staging. But do I ever think that virtual staging is going to take over physical staging? Absolutely not. Buying real estate is emotional. All the big builders, they create model homes. This restaurant is designed to the nines. Like, it is such a drop in the bucket as an investment for physical staging, if you can do it, for the return on investment. So I just think it's just not feasible for virtual staging to give that same impact as physical staging. But it's definitely a useful tool if, for instance, the property is leased. So, you're likely to make $1,500 out of this deal and you don't mind spending a few hundred on virtual staging. If the property is tenanted, so we can't physically stage because there's a tenant. Well, our software allows us to remove existing furniture and input a designed layout that I would design if I was physically staging.
That sounds pretty interesting.
It is, and it's fun to do. It's fun to pick and
play around.
It really is. It's fun to just sit and do it virtually.
Now, when you are designing and coming with a color code, is there a formula that you use? Is it dependent on the layout of the home, the lighting? Like, what are some of the secrets that
You want
Farah
some of the
uses?
techniques for staging design,
Yeah,
or
like just in general.
interior design?
Staging.
We're marketing the house to appeal to as many buyers as possible. So you need it to look as neutral, as big, and as bright as possible. And all our decisions are based around those three objectives. So that's marketing staging 101.
Are you still using those pillows that look like little people?
When did I ever do that? Pillows?
You used to have these great pillows that you used to punch them over the top.
With the ears?
With the ears, and they look
absolutely.
like little munchkins and stuff like that. Which
Still using them.
you still use them. That's
Yes,
great.
that's our signature look.
Now, what are some of the pitfalls for people that believe that maybe staging doesn't provide a value? Like there's always that skeptic that says, "Oh, I can do it myself."
Great.
And they underestimate how much they're leaving on the table, because a good stager does add value that more than pays itself. Would you not
100%.
agree?
Yes, and a bad stager can devalue too. I don't like the idea of selling staging. You either are for it or you're not. When we're trying to force someone who doesn't see the value in staging, it backfires on us, because they're just telling us that they're not comfortable with any of these moving parts. So listen to them. And we don't tend to stage for people that show signs of, I'm not comfortable moving this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And I say to them, well, I just want to get us both on the same page that all my recommendations have to do with showcasing the home to appeal to as many people, so you ultimately earn as much money in the sale. And they say, yeah, but it's not feasible for them because they don't want to live in a staged home. Well, then that's entirely up to you, right? And so, yeah, we turn that business down.
You post a lot of media, social
Thank
media,
you. Really,
and some stunning homes.
thank you so much.
What's the biggest home you worked on? What's the smallest home you've worked on?
I enjoy working for builders because there's this idea of why I started ALT, which was I was inspired by model homes that builders did. So the Margaret Lottery home by Glucksclean, that was such an experience for me to walk through. I'll never forget, he did the staircase and there were just black and white gallery wall photos. It was stellar. And I just think that's the epitome of, okay, cool. Okay, if you can do that, then you made it. And then the other thing is the interior design side, doing a hotel lobby, doing a restaurant, which is also very cool.
Have you ever staged a home where the buyer has said,
all the time,
can I buy
all the time? And then we send them
the
the bill and they're like, never mind. I'm like, excuse me, it's not what did you think it cost? Think about the savings in that. You're not paying a designer. It's already delivered. It's already assembled. It's the reason you bought the home. It's already there. There's no delivery. And it's brand new furniture, Vince. It's such a great deal.
Full disclosure, you did design my office with the furniture in the little lobby. It's not a big office, but everybody raves about how this office looks. We still have everything.
I'm so glad you did it.
And
it's an experience.
It is. And it came out really nice. So I want to thank you for that. Norbert's always,
Norb.
I love these tub chairs.
Oh, I miss Norb.
But, it's an interesting business because I always find that you could really tell when you're looking at a listing on MLS and you see the pictures, what's staged and what isn't.
I hate that. I try to avoid that.
Well, it's simplicity, really.
Yeah.
And the 3 bottles of San Pellegrino.
I knew you were going to bring that up. That makes me want to take a drink. Listen, man.
It's a staple.
It's a staple.
It's a staple. I love it. I know that it's a staged property when there's 3 bottles of San Pellegrino.
I hate that. We're taking that right off the shelf. I can't. I never want to hear you say that because I never want to be a victim of that. Because I just think we have an obligation to hold a standard. And the idea of staging is so that it also doesn't feel staged. you know, feels more interior designed. So the San Pellegrino wattles can easily be replaced with like a cookbook and a cutting board. It's simple as that.
Well, when you're dealing with realtors and you're dealing with a realtor for the first time and they're debating whether to stage or not, how much consultation do you provide them on the benefits of doing it or not?
Depends on my day. But if I have the time, then it's kind of like a reiteration of this conversation. And I think they really appreciate that, because a lot of times people who are rejecting the notion of staging, it's because they're ill-informed and they just are ignorant. So the second that they are kind of not schooled, but they have a little bit of understanding on how to approach the topic with their clients, treating staging as a value proposition to their services, it creates more skin in the game for the seller, which it should.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like, it is a very expensive business to run if done correctly.
It's capital intensive.
Very capital intensive.
You're buying all your stuff.
Thank you. And good stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then taking care of it, you know,
cleaning it,
maintaining it, upgrading it when things change. Like, that's its own business on its own. So it is not cheap. It is an investment if done correctly. And
you have a wide selection. How many pieces do you have in your inventory?
I don't even know. Like
thousands.
We just got a new space. Because,
did you move out of the...
Remember, you were part of that story, Vincy. Okay, so I decided to hold off on purchasing to grow slowly as opposed to like a...
Sure.
You know what I mean? I've always been a very frugal.
Cautious.
Cautious is a good word. You know, my husband's the risk taker, so I'm a cautious.
So how did you... Are you still in the same area? Or did you move?
Just down the street. So
okay, so you're nearby.
We're on the same street, just a different building that offers additional storage.
And you got some bays? Like some
Yes, we got
bays.
one. Yep, perfect. It's perfect. And there's an office area.
Very good.
Yeah.
So
you got to come by.
I will.
You should.
With Norbert.
Yes.
I will come by with Norbert.
I love him.
If you had to do it all over again, would you build it the same way, or would you change anything about this whole experience that you're trying to provide your client?
I wouldn't change a thing. I think it was meant to be exactly how it happened. Definitely learned a lot of lessons along the way. Ton of lessons.
Can you give us a story of your worst staging project?
Yeah. You know, this one comes to mind. The seller was home and she hadn't moved any of her pieces out. And she saw my guys, and there was this big honking credenza. And she just expected that they would do it. So I spoke to the guys and I just said, listen, this is putting me in an uncomfortable position, but if she paid you, would you be comfortable with it? I just threw that out there. And again, this is before, like earlier on in my days. Now we don't move client furniture at all. But they said, you know what, $50 and we'll put it in the garage. I'm like, great, I sound like a hero. She got so offended that I charged her, started cursing, completely irate. I just was dealing with the hysterical.
That's not your responsibility, right?
I called the agent right away and I just said, you know, I've never had to leave a stage. This will be the first time, but just know that it's the right move. And we left. And then just as we were leaving, she's like, okay, I'm sorry. And I said, too little, too late. And we left. That sticks with me because, you know, it takes a lot to pick yourself up from something that felt so low. But you learned a lot of lessons and it saved us.
When you're dealing with the public, you're going to run into some interesting characters.
No kidding.
Both great, fantastic, and sometimes not so nice. Right? And being in that public-facing business, this is what you got to deal with. And sometimes how you deal with those scenarios is what makes you a better person to learn from. Farah, I want to end on this note. This market has seen some complex situations.
Absolutely.
Okay? We're seeing folks in very dire situations needing to sell fast. Sometimes there's not enough equity in a property for people to
invest in staging.
They just
don't have it.
What's the message to those folks? Is there
There's no staging required. That's an urgent sell. That's like,
Get it on,
get as much as you can and get it out. Staging is when you want to maximize the return on your biggest asset. And you have the flexibility to, schedule this according to your own, there shouldn't be any tension with staging. It is a luxury service. And if you're in that position, it can be very tough. There's a woman who's a dear, client and friend who's, trying her hardest to, break me down on price in order to accommodate someone who's in a dire situation. And I said, I cannot give you reduced quality. You are talking to the wrong girl.
And they're out there. You got to find it.
Yeah.
But what you get is what you
pay for.
You get what you pay for.
Yes.
Right?
And I always look at things from a financial point of view. It just doesn't, at a point, isn't worth it because there's so much cost involved with maintaining the infrastructure, plus the inventory, plus the salaries, as you know, plus the trucks. And so unless it hits a certain number, it just isn't worth it, our time.
And you're pretty much expanded beyond staging into interior design. Mm-hmm. You do a lot of work for people that have bought the place. Would that be fair to say?
It's happened so many times that the seller goes on to move into their new home and then they call us and say, hey, can you do what you did at that house in the new house? I'm like, absolutely. Because I already know your design style. Yeah. It always comes down.
And that's evolved organically, really, right? It's not something that you thought about. It's just kind of naturally evolved.
My husband's always said it. He's always said, because you treat interior design, staging like interior design, he's like, I just see this becoming an interior design business. Funny enough, he's not wrong because we are so busy in interior design right now. And I'm putting all my effort into design because I absolutely enjoy every minute of it.
So do you see yourself outside of staging at some point in the future?
I think so. Yeah, I think
That's
so. Good. Yeah, I don't see why not. I think me physically, yeah, we're always changing and evolving. Who knows? I'm open to anything.
Well, Farah, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm happy to see that I've seen you evolve through the staging. We used to be called something else, but ALT Interiors. Love it. But happy you could join us, share some insight, and we got to get you on again.
I can't wait. Thanks so much.
Thanks.